3 times the charm. Hi, this is Coach MK from Fitness Protection, and I want to take a minute to talk about the dedicated as fuck marathon training ramp, the 10-week ramp that you can find in the Facebook page if you're a paying subscriber to Fitness Protection, the program. So we only need 10 weeks really to get ready for a marathon because we're showing up with a really high base. So as we sharpen to get ready for the marathon, this is what dedicated AF entails. You're going to see 3 workouts, the 3 that I've chosen for this one. Remember, you're going to get a brand new one every spring and every fall going forward. You've got the 5x3, which is a 5 minutes at 10K effort, followed by a 3-minute float interval. You've got the M2, which is 1 mile at the A pace from your EAT, followed by a 2-minute float interval, and then we've got the sharpening type of work we're going to do coming up to race week. Let's talk just a minute before I go much further about what a float is and what it is for. I don't know. I've been home a lot recovering from this surgery. Oh, that hurt. I've been home a lot recovering from surgery, and I've been seeing a lot more TV than I normally would. And lately, there has been a commercial for It Part 2. And I don't know if you were a Stephen King fan like I was when I was a kid, but that scared the ish out of me. And so are these trailers. So whenever they say we all float down here. It reminds me of floating in these workouts, and you should have a healthy fear, not just of clowns in the gutter trying to get you in there, even if they give you free running shoes, but also of any workout that has float written in it, and all of these do. So if this is your baseline of 140, aka the easy effort cap, anything above that is hard effort, and we're going to flesh out different shades of hard. When we come to 10K, it's a good proxy for tempo effort, and it's also B from the EAT workout. Okay, so for example, the 5x3, you warm up, and then 5 minutes up here, this harder effort, and then you float. Floating means backing off. It does not mean resting. It does not really mean recovering, because you're not recovering at all. This inures you to harder efforts for longer periods over time. So a float is right smack in the middle between 10K effort, 140 effort, aka a float is roughly your half marathon pace. If you're a super duper sub elite like us and you're not like this fine-tuned animal like Steph Bruce Rothstein, man. I mean, these numbers are not going to be the same for an elite because they have a narrower range of fitness than we do. This is why everything gets more complicated once your easy effort pace is faster than a 9-minute mile. And when your easy effort pace surpasses a 7-minute mile, the game changes again. You got fewer options available for improvement because, your range is so tight. Someone who's running a 7-minute mile easy effort might not be able to actually race a 10K at 5-minute splits. Get what I'm talking about now? So it's not about judging the person as better or worse or morally bankrupt because they're slower, which is the tendency that we have. It's literally all I care about. All I will ever care about is, do you have the right work? Do you have enough work? Is the work that you're opting into appropriate for you and your body at this point in time? That is it. If you take a look at everything I say today and say, actually, I think I'm going to use Tenacious, that is not less than or lesser, and it's probably not a bad decision. I'm not going, don't poo in your own Cheerios, and I'm not going to let you either. So, without judging yourself, what we need to do is we spend 5 minutes up here at 10K effort and then come back down here to a float. The entirety of the workout is going to be spent in this area right here, aside from the warm-up and the cool-down. And this is that special lactate clearing area that's supposed to inure you for longer. If you really want to go dive down face first down a rabbit hole of science, this is what they're going to tell you about. All right, this is faster than marathon effort, slower than others, but this is where strength comes from as pertains to distance. Anything that we spend up here is anaerobic. You are going to be very limited for how long you can stay there. And to maximize your gains in the anaerobic area, you need to be doing weight stuff and getting on the track. It is a totally different ballgame. You with me? We don't need a whole lot of power. We need functional strength. We need basic mobility. We need a lot of consistency to do well in the half, the full, and arguably, realistically, the 5K and the 10K too. The biggest place that a super D-duper sub-elite like us is going to see gains, though, if you really need to see them quickly, is through strength. More is better until you've hit the point of too much. This is not the time to take on more strength during the 10-week marathon ramp. You can come back and do one of my strength programs later. But for now, while you're in here, floating is all the hard you can handle, as well as, obviously this is the assigned strength, but adding more is going to get you less on race day. So, moving on. There are 3 levers we can pull when it comes to the workouts as a coach when we're riding them. We can take this hard effort and we can make it faster, we can make it longer, or we can reduce the recovery. So we have the options available. You've got floating, which I would argue really isn't resting or recovering. It's just a little slower. You've got floating, you've got recovery, and you've got rest. You're not going to see a whole lot of rest. As a distance runner, rest comes into play when you're working up here in this effort, trying to get faster as a sprinter, or in something like the steeplechase. That's just, again, a totally different ballgame, but I digress. So the lever I've chosen to pull this cycle with this workout series is you get a 5x3, 5x2, 5x1. Same intensity, less recovery. That isn't really recovery. It's just less of a flow. So when we come over here to the M2, and I think this workout is easily the hardest thing you're going to see, bar none, this fall. You've got 1 mile at the A pace from your EAT. If you don't feel like doing an EAT, it is about 90 seconds faster than your easy effort pace. And you're going to do that for a mile and then 2 minutes of floating. Again, so here we've got 10K tempo, 1 mile. And so your float, in this particular circumstance, where your baseline is that half marathon pace, all of this is going to shift a little bit. Now, your float is going to be right here in the middle. And here's the magic, y'all. Where you're floating is your marathon effort. So first, we spent a lot of time up here. That's going to make this easier and probably make it a little faster too. So that when we get to the M2, you'll see you're probably running similar paces and having similar feels. And that's what we want. And what we're practicing again is that marathon effort. We're making you really efficient and really familiar with marathon effort all at once. That's the point of the M2 workout. But once again, and be really careful, these are 1 mile repeats. And 1 mile repeats are always going to be hard. As Sarah probably learned in her RRCA certification, or if any of you guys have read any book on running ever written by coaches smarter than I am that have been doing this for longer, the one workout that we know is the best and the most specific to the marathon distance is the mile repeats. The workout that is responsible for more injuries every year than any other workout in elite professionals, collegiate, D1 athletes, anywhere, mile repeats. So there's a price to be paid for these harder workouts even when they're at the lower levels. And let's make sure that we have strength enough to execute these workouts well. If there's any doubt in your mind as to whether or not, if you're pretty sure you passed the chair test, if you go see a PT during the cycle and say, hey, I'm curious what this chair test is, do I pass it? And they say no, you might want to figure that out before we get to the M2. Because it's close enough to race day that this could mess up your race day, and that is not what I want for you. The final workout is the one that we practice during race week, the final workout on this training cycle. The other ones you should be familiar with, and if you're not, you got bigger problems than which marathon training plan you picked. And that's the 1x1. The 1x1 is now coming back into vogue. If you follow Bruce Rothstein on Twitter, if you follow pretty much any professional runner on Twitter, you're going to see that a staple of their long runs, because remember, their long runs are different than ours because their entire training plan is different from ours. And no, I'm not going to let you do this for a long run. Good luck if you decide to try. They will do 1x1, 1 minute hard, 1 minute easy, for up to 10 miles of a 20-mile run. That sounds terrible to me, but that's okay. Thank God we're not elite. I don't want to do that work. I'm not strong enough to do that work. I'm not ready to do that work. It's not better work. It's just more specific work for someone who's way fitter than I am right now. They're not a better person than I am. They might not even be a better coach than I am, but they're faster, and this is what their body needs. So don't make it about you and feeling bad, and I'm a slow, ugly, fat runner, and nobody loves me, so I'm going to get on this less than plan. That is not how it works, and don't turn it into that, especially not in front of me. So when we get here for race week, what we're trying to do is bring all of this together and get really, really, really familiar with marathon effort. What I want you to be doing and what I want you to be going for. I wrote it 1 minute hard, 1 minute easy, but hard, because remember, we were in the taper now. There is nothing we can do to make you more fit, but we can do a lot to make you more tired and more injured and fuck up your race day. Let's not do that. There is no benefit to going harder or faster than what I tell you to do right now or on the worksheet. 1 minute hard is at race effort, and what race? The marathon that we're training for. 1 minute at marathon effort, 1 minute easy. And the reason we're doing it now, because we can't impact fitness, it's to make you really, 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 really familiar with it. By the time you've hit one by one by one for 30 minutes, 3 times the week before, and 20 minutes, 3 times the week of the race, you are going to be able to find that gear on race day. That's my hope. No matter how amped up you are, no matter how excited you are, no matter how perfect the weather is, no matter how good you feel, you will still be in control, because familiarity breeds the type of contentment and the type of calm you're going to need to actually get what you want out of this race. And that approach, that attitude, that zen is what's going to make a bigger difference than anything else you could possibly do. Jumping to the Steady as Fuck plan is not going to guarantee a better outcome. Taking the right plan with the right approach that gets you ready to do the work that your body is ready to do right now, that is what's going to make the best race possible. And I really, 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 really want you to have it. You are coached. You are loved. You are dedicated as fuck. There is no less than for dedicated as fuck. It just means you don't have to do super hard work. Yay, you! And you have the option to do a different type of work for the people on Tenacious. By the way, Tenacious as fuck is not less than in any way either. I do not like doing one thing continuously for 5 hours. I don't hike. I don't camp. I shop online. I don't like going to stores. I don't even like going to Costco. Why? Because everybody that I know that's like, let's get a Costco. We spend hours in there, and I never want to do that shit again. The only thing I like to do for a long period of time, once upon a time, was poker, and that is behind me. So I say it with love. If you go into a marathon training cycle knowing that it could take you 6 hours or longer to finish, that is badass. That will never be less than. Y'all are doing more work than anyone else out there. Don't tell yourself otherwise. There is no less than, only different.